So having a personal paradise that's pulling you forward is one thing, but there's also nothing like lighting a fire under your own arse to get you up and running. That's actually a fire engine right there, right? So if you're lighting a fire, you can put it out. This is what we call motivation from behind, or another way of saying it is push motivation. Now, when somebody says feel the fear and do it anyway, this is what they're talking about, push motivation, right? They mean that you take the fear of something, usually an alternative reality to the one that you're about to take, the old reality of drinking, for instance, and you use that fear to leverage your immediate action in the direction that you want to go. If I continue down this path that I'm on, then this is what's going to happen. Now, one of the biggest motivations came for me, one of the biggest motivations that kept me going in this journey during my early days especially, was the fear of what would happen if I ever decided to go back to my old way of thinking about things. And if I was getting strong urges, I had this visualization that I used to do with myself. And it was one of me lying in a bed, dying of, the last few days of me dying of cirrhosis of the liver. My skin and eyes are yellow, they're pale. My stomach is all swollen with fluid. I'm covered with bruises. I'm so tired that I can hardly move. I can't lift my head off the pillow. I'm confused about where I am, and I'm finding it very difficult to focus on anything else. And then I see my son walking into the room, and I see him covering his nose up. My liver isn't working at all anymore, so all the toxins that my liver is supposed to be processing are seeping out through my skin, and they're stinking up the whole room. That's why he's covering up his mouth. And he stood over me and he's looking down at me, at the shell of what his dad used to be, right? And his face is just filled with pity, and there's a mixed with revulsion about what he sees, and I can see the tears in his eyes. I swear to God, this really gets me still 11 years later, and I can feel it. It's a powerful emotion. So you need to find something like that gives you big, massive emotional impact. Now think about the ghost of Christmas Future, who gives Ebenezer Scrooge this vision of what's going to happen to him in the future if he doesn't make changes happen in his life. That's what I used to give myself with that idea, a fear from the old path, which really keeps you on the new path. My son has been such a huge motivation, right, all the way through this journey for me. He's been a huge influence on me in my life since he was born, really, but especially in dealing with these personal fears, right? One of my best days came a couple of years ago when my son told me that he'd had enough of drinking. It took him long enough, right? But that was one of the biggest reasons why I stopped drinking alcohol in the first place, to encourage him. So when he finally gave in and followed in his old man's footsteps, it was another personal vision that had really come true for me. So sometimes the only way that you can really save yourself is to save other people. So when you give yourself massive reasons for doing things, you'll find that there are very few obstacles that are going to stand in your way, right? Fear drops away in the face of true personal meaning, right? Deep personal meaning that really gets you in your heart, that inspires you, that gives you passion to move forwards. There's a book that I read. I try to read it every year, but at least once every 2 years, and it's a book by a guy called Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. And one of the quotes from this book that is just burned into my mind is, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." Find meaning in what you do, and you're going to quickly conquer your fear of the very thing that's holding you back, right?